Okay, it's been long enough. This is overdue. 7 days after, a whole week after we lose to the Blues in Game 7 in devastating fashion, I'm now going to finally talk about it. I know a lot of you probably wanted me to come on the day after, right after, and talk about it, but I just couldn't do that. Didn't want to put myself through that. I was in no mood to talk about it. I mostly avoided Twitter, news outlets that have been talking about like sports in general, mainly hockey though. Been following a little bit of soccer right now because that's what I do in the summer when there's really no other sport I care about too much on. But it's really tough even now, 7 days later, a whole week later, to reflect and look back on this, because the closer you get to winning the Stanley Cup, the more as a fan it crushes you on the inside. This one's gonna bother me. I'm probably still gonna have I'm gonna be butthurt talking about games next season because of the way this season ended. This one's going to linger. This is worse than 2013 because this Bruins team was more in a position to win this Stanley Cup Final Series than it was in 2013. In 2013, if they win Game 6, there's a decent shot they still lose Game 7 against a historically good Blackhawks team, which if you scale the numbers would have had a better regular season than the Lightning did this season, if you believe that. Because remember, 2013 was a shortened season. That Blackhawks team was insane. I believe they still have they have the longest point streak by any team. But this Blues team was beatable. They beat us. They deserved to win, but they were beatable. They had holes. They played their brand of hockey, which was in-your-face hockey. A lot like what the Bruins used to pride themselves on, whereas the Bruins now have gone to a more skill-based team, which I think benefits them long-term. But obviously in this series, the grit and grind of the Blues prevailed, and they are the best team in the NHL this year. They are your 2019 Stanley Cup champions. And Game 7, man, how do you really reflect on it? I'm kind of curious if you're a Bruins fan. How do you look back on this? Because I know there's some people, like my mom, for instance, she says, terrible game all around, which I thought the Bruins came out and were on fire, but you can't really claim that you were doing that well when the puck's not going in the net, because the Bruins, the first 16, 15, 14, 13 minutes, whatever, were by far just running over the Blues, so many more chances, and it just felt like it was going to be the Bruins' night for the beginning. But then the thing that occurred to me was deep into the first period, I told one of my friends, or a few of my friends actually, it's very concerning to be out playing a team this badly and not have a goal, because you've seen it so many times where a team just weathers the storm. They weather the storm, they hold off, and then you can't score, and then they flip the script and take all the momentum back by scoring a goal. And the Blues were just a very grinding type of performance tonight. They weren't trying to turn this into a track meet by any means, and the Bruins just couldn't get the puck to go by Binnington. Binnington played insane. And when you play the way the Bruins did for the first 15 minutes, and then you talk about the O'Reilly goal, in the way it happened, it's just a swift kick in the balls. That's all you can really say here as a fan. You're expecting the domination to continue. The Blues bring it up the ice. They change momentum on you. A shot from the point. Who else but Ryan O'Reilly tips it down and in between Tuukka's legs, and air goes out of the building. That's all you can really say right there. Really, just it silenced the crowd. You weren't expecting it. The Blues had 4 shots this period. This was one of 4 shots this period. Outshot them 12-4. And it was a really tough one to swallow at the time. Not uncomebackable from, but it was really just a swift kick, and you got to respond to it. How did the Bruins respond? Not terribly. They still maintained control. But then with about 10 seconds left in the period, this is the one right here where I was thinking, not our night. Not our night. Alex Pietrangelo. So obviously what you've been hearing is Bruins fans just more so they're more depressed about what Marchand did. It's really one of the worst plays in Boston sports in a long time, and it deserves all and every bit of criticism it gets. Brad Marchand with, I believe that's Jaden Schwartz coming right at him. I want to say that's Schwartz. Yeah, it's Schwartz coming at him. He has the opportunity to make a play on the puck, a play on the body, or staying with Schwartz. And he does none of the three. And you really, in that situation, Brad, you got to take the body or the puck. If he makes contact with the puck or the body, We're not talking about this goal right now, and it never happens because the chances are a Bruins player gets to the puck and not Schwartz, because Schwartz is taken out of the play or the puck is taken away from Schwartz. Instead, windshield wiper goes right by Jaden Schwartz here, and Jaden Schwartz goes right around, and Brad Marchand stands there, deer in the headlights, sees that they're looking for a change. He changes off. I wasn't as upset about the change as I was the fact that he just tried to stood up Schwartz, took a terrible angle at him, and did nothing. It was a very ineffective dive towards Schwartz, and it's just irresponsible. I see Bruins forwards do it all the time. They don't want to defend, so they just try to dive at someone, and by dive I mean just leave their position and go straight at the puck carrier, misses him by a mile, and then he goes around him. Puck gets to Pietrangelo by Schwartz pass. Pietrangelo, it's a 3-on-2, I mean. Pietrangelo has time of day. He can look for someone, decides to go forehand, backhand, and lifts it over Tuukka Rask. Not much Tuukka Rask can do there. A beautiful finish by Pietrangelo. And with 7 seconds left in the period, as you can see in the bottom right, that's why I include that, 7.9 seconds left in the period, you're down 2-0, and you're heading into the second after outplaying the Blues for most of the 20 minutes, and they're up 2-0. You're not winning a game where you outplay a team that badly. That's demoralizing. To play that good in the first period, not be able to solve Binnington, not be able to convert your chances, which obviously Binnington played well, but the Bruins did not take the best opportunities that were given to them. The final pass wasn't there. Their shots were off. That's all you can say sometimes. Sometimes the puck just doesn't find the net, and that's what it felt like in the first period, and that's demoralizing in itself. But then when the other team goes down, they have 4 shots in the period, and they have 2 goals on 4 of the shots. That's a 50% conversion ratio. That's like a soccer ratio with shots right there that get past you. That's unacceptable. You can't even really blame Tuukka Rask either, because when a goalie doesn't face that many shots and then there's 2 really hard opportunities against you like that, you face 4 shots in a period, you're going to be cold. And that's what happened to Tuukka Rask here. If you don't see the puck a lot, you're not going to get in a rhythm. Tuukka Rask was not in a rhythm, so he wasn't able to make big saves. And granted, even if you are in rhythm, a tip from like 4 feet in front of you that goes 5-hole, you're not saving that. The Pietrangelo one, maybe if you're in rhythm, but that's still a very good move by a very skillful player. Really, the issue this period was the fact that the Bruins gave up chances. 4 of them, basically. The Brad Marchand one is more egregious than the Ryan O'Reilly one, obviously, because Brad Marchand doesn't have to make that play. He can stay on the ice. He can stay with Schwartz instead of diving straight at him to try to make a play to get the puck or the body. Instead, takes himself out of the play, creates an odd man rush. So really, dumb move by Marchand there. No excuses there. I don't care if you're tired. There's 7 seconds left in the period. You stay on the ice and stay with that play. There's no reason to dive at Schwartz there. The change after, it doesn't even matter at that point, because chances are Brad Marchand's not getting back in that play after he misses Jaden Schwartz. Very unlikely he gets back in that play. Chances are Pietrangelo goes right around him and does the same thing. So just really irresponsible play, and this is where it felt like the game was not going our way. Obviously, the second period, you come out, you outplay the Blues a little bit more, in my opinion, not by a lot. It was not like the first period. Quality chances not as high, in my opinion. 11-6 shots. The Blues were packing in, playing a very come at us type of style of hockey. We're going to stay back here. We're going to defend. We're going to hold off the 2-0 lead, which the Blues are capable of doing because they have big bodies on defense and they play a very grindy type of game. They have the perfect team to hold off a lead, and that's exactly what they did until the third period where Brayden Schenn gets on the board. And fun fact, NHL's or NBC's highlights don't even include the third goal. I had to go to another place to get these. Tarasenko takes it down the board. Really, really good play by Tarasenko. All effort going down the boards. He really wanted this championship, like a lot of the Blues players on the ice tonight, grinding it out. Great pass to Brayden Schenn in the slot. Brayden Schenn puts a nail in the coffin. At this point, I was thinking the game's over. 3-0 with the way the Blues play. A little over 8 minutes left in the period. You're not coming back from this. 3-0, nail in the coffin. The Blues would add to the total. Zach Sanford, extremely bad look for Jake DeBrusk down low with Perron. He's on Perron's back there. Perron shakes and makes an in and out move to go towards the net. As you can see, he gets it on the backhand of there. Sanford wide open and snipes it, and it was just, cherry on top of the cake. It really, I didn't even care at this point, really. Like, obviously I cared, but like it didn't bother me that they were falling apart defensively at this point because I knew it was over at this point. There was no chance. And then you move on to the consolation goal or whatever, the goal that doesn't even matter really. As you can see, Matt Grzelcyk knows this doesn't matter. This is a filthy snipe too. Empty net, you might as well pull him. You're down 4-0 with 2 minutes to go in the Stanley Cup final. Beautiful snipe by Matt Grzelcyk, but it doesn't matter. You go to the post game and you got to say congratulations to the Blues. In a 7-game series, if you get to 7 games, that really means there's not a lot between the teams. And the Blues grinded it out and did what they had to do, and they won. They're the best team in the league this year. The Bruins not far behind them, obviously. But obviously, you got to tip your cap to the Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues. As you can see, one of my favorite pitchers from the parade, if I can even say I have a favorite pitcher, because they're all disgusting to me. Colin Parayko, I'm assuming downtown St. Louis, holding the cup up in the middle. Just a really cool pitcher, to be honest. Tarasenko holding it up with the boys looking back on him. Obviously, the devastation of the Bruins in the top right, Charlie McAvoy. And really, this isn't a fun game to talk about, if you can tell by my tone, the way I'm looking back on it. And it really just, that first period is where this game was lost when you look back on it. To outplay a team that badly, get 2 goals against on you, it's 9 out of 10 times it's over at that point. Obviously, I mentioned throughout this playoffs, the Bruins' extremely resilient group. If they took a loss, they usually responded very well to the loss. Obviously, the Blues were able to win 2 games in a row. Bruins still forced a Game 7, but the Blues prevailed in Game 7. And they are your 2019 Stanley Cup champions. One thing I do want to talk about, I know it doesn't matter now, injuries to the Bruins. This team took a lot, and this is honestly insane to look at when you think about how hard and how much of a grind playoff hockey can be. Where do we start? Top or bottom? Let's start with top. You got Noel Acciari, who broke his sternum. That doesn't sound fun. Patrice Bergeron, groin injury. When is Bergeron not injured, man? That's one thing you really got to worry about with this team going forward is age and injuries, because Bergeron seems to get injured some way every year, getting up there in age. Jake DeBrusk concussion, honestly, I see people making excuses for Jake DeBrusk all the time, and you need to stop. It's unacceptable. The kid was not good enough in the postseason, and if he has a concussion that's that bad to the point it's affecting his play, he shouldn't be on the ice. Do not make excuses for Jake DeBrusk. I like Jake DeBrusk, don't get me wrong, but I hate Jake DeBrusk defenders who act like he's their child or something. It makes no sense to me. It really makes no sense to me. I like him too. He's not my kid. I'm not going to defend him, okay? Brad Marchand, extremely good postseason when you look at the power play. If you look at outside of the power play, pretty lackluster. 12 to 24 points come on the power play. And that means he had 12 points at 5-on-5 in 24 games. Tied for league in playoff scoring with Ryan O'Reilly, best player in the Stanley Cup playoffs in my opinion. Maybe Logan Couture could have an argument for that looking at the stats right now, but Ryan O'Reilly, best two-way player in the game right now. Give him the freaking Selke. I don't even care if Bergeron wins that, to be honest. Ryan O'Reilly deserves it this year, in my opinion. And he proved in the Stanley Cup Finals with the way he played. Deserving Conn Smythe winner with Binnington and Pietrangelo not far behind him, but I think they got that right. David Pastrnak with a re-aggravated thumb. That injury actually started at a charity dinner in the middle of the season, if you remember, and he missed time for that. So apparently he wasn't all that great with it still. I'm not going to give him a pass there, though. Chris Wagner obviously didn't play after he suffered an injury versus Carolina. Zdeno Chara, multiple fractures in the jaw. Like the warrior he is, Zdeno Chara, he's something else. And he's probably coming back next season, which the thing with Chara is you're going to realize when he can't play pretty quickly. And there's a good chance Chara is going to be one of those players, because he loves to play the game, that it's going to happen mid-season if it happens, when he's going to be told by Bruins management, you can't hang anymore. And if that happens next year, so be it. It happens to all athletes. But if Zdeno Chara can keep the legs he has right now, which I don't think he'll be able to be honest. It wouldn't shock me if Chara gets through parts of next season and has to put up the skates, to be honest. Because with that size, with the way he's dealt with injuries, it's going to be surprising how well Zdeno Chara can keep up, especially after a tough, long playoff run like this. Matt Grzelcyk, concussion. Obviously, he came back from Game 7, scored a goal, looked fine. John Moore, broken humerus, 4 to 6 month recovery. That's impressive that he played the limited time he did in the playoffs with that injury. Kevin Miller broke his kneecap twice, the same kneecap, and it said horizontal and then vertical. So I don't know how that works, but that's not a sentence you like to read. And yeah, just an extremely injured team. And I'm looking at the Bruins stats right now. 21 of 22 players who played for the Bruins in the playoffs scored a goal. Only one who didn't score a goal was John Moore. Even Steven Kampfer, who played 3 games, had a goal. Really, just when you look back on the season, obviously it hurts to talk about Game 7 because of how close they got to realizing a dream for most of these people. Obviously, you have 4 or 5 people on this team who were there in 2011. Obviously, Tuukka Rask, I don't think really looks back on 2011, as does Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, David Krejci, and Zdeno Chara, who are the other 4, because that, in Tuukka Rask's mind, probably isn't his Stanley Cup. He was there, but obviously that was Tim Thomas's team. So you got 4 guys who really have won a Stanley Cup, and then you have Tuukka Rask, who has somewhat won a Stanley Cup. And I know that sounds weird to say, but it's the way he has to look at it at the end of the day. It's the way I look at it at the end of the day, and it's the way a lot of fans look at it at the end of the day. The other 14 to 16 people on this team who contributed, actually the other 18 people who contributed who weren't those 4, this was a dream. This was a chance to realize a dream, and it was not to be. But I look back, I'm going to look at how brilliant Torrey Krug was on the power play, how much of a savage Charlie Coyle was, how great the acquisitions of Coyle and Johansson were by Sweeney to even get us this far. And when I look back on this team, it's mostly going to be positive. Obviously, it's hard to do right now. Ton of great players. You got to acknowledge Sean Kuraly with 0 power play points, having 10 points in 20 games. He had 2 less points than Brad Marchand 5-on-5, and he played 4 less games than Brad Marchand in the playoffs. So that's something to keep in mind there. What a postseason by Sean Kuraly. You got Grizzly, who was a warrior. The defense, man, from top to bottom was pretty good. Obviously, there's a few things I'm going to address in off-season videos I want changed. But when you look back on this team, it's mostly going to be positive. Obviously, when you come 1 game away from the Stanley Cup Finals win, there's very few things you can look back on and say, I would tweak this, I would tweak that. Obviously, there's a few things you want different about the team, but what team doesn't have some holes that you'd want changed? With that being said, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover in this video. But I'd like to thank anyone who has stayed with me and watched most of my analysis and videos talking about all of the games for the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals. I talked about all 24 Stanley Cup Final games with the Bruins. You can go back and look at them. They're there. Talked about each game individually, my thoughts, how I thought the Bruins would do, what I think the Bruins should do, all that. And I'd like to thank you if you watched all those videos, any of those videos. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below with your thoughts on the Bruins. Any videos you want me to do on the Bruins in the off season, please let me know. I'm going to probably be doing a video soon about the draft. I think the draft is this weekend, actually. Haven't really looked at it because I've been trying to avoid hockey, but hopefully after I post this, I'll feel a little better about talking about hockey. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to follow my coverage going forward. I'm planning to cover more than just the Bruins next season. Maybe some changes in how I do it. Any suggestions. But subscribe and join the journey. Again, thank you for being here at this point in the video, and hopefully Bruins can get back to this point next year and win it all. But we'll see, man. We'll see. And that's all I got for you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.